is Simran Singh here on the Rebel Road. We are in Burlington, Ontario at the Paletta Mansion. The show will be starting in just a little bit, and I wanted to give you a little insight into possibility and the possibility that rests within you. And so I thought I'd invite a special guest to have a great conversation because she definitely knows all about how we have doubts and how we have obstacles and how we have challenges and how we have this infinite possibility laying within us, some of which we know and some of which we don't. And so I thought it'd be a great time to have a conversation like that so that you open up to that very possible dream that is sitting there, or the many possibilities that are laying within you, and finally take those steps so that you dive into your own Rebel Road. My guest today is McIver, and she is a radio host, she is a possibilities coach, and an amazing influence on people when it comes to recognizing their fears and doubts and obstacles, but also understanding the questions to ask as they move into their possibility. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Simran. It's so lovely to be with you.
Well, it's good to have you here because I think we've had quite a few interviews that have taken place over the past several weeks since we started.
Yes.
And a lot of them have dealt with people when they have run into different fears and doubts and different things like that. Did you find that in your own life as well?
I have and still continue to. Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting, especially reading your book, I was like, wow, this is the same thing that I've been going through. And what I've been really experiencing in my own, I find that when I'm experiencing it, then I can invite my clients into learning it in a new way. And when I've been experiencing it, instead of going into the why, or why me, or all of those things that our mind can just suck us down into this rabbit hole, I've been asking, okay, is this what I've been asking for? Is this the direction that the universe is leading me into to bring me to my heart's desires, to bring me to the next stage? I often tell my clients that the universe sends us on a treasure hunt. And while one may not seem, the next clue may not seem, well, that's not the answer, but it may be just the next clue on the journey. And I've been doing that with myself and going, waking into those moments going, oh my gosh, what's going on? And why is this happening? And then be like, wait a minute, what question can I ask here?
Yeah.
And it's so much fun because you begin to be an observer of all of the messages. Whether it's earlier in the spring, I had a lot of ants in my home. And we can all go into, oh my gosh, I don't want people to think I have a dirty home. And I'm like, wait a minute, what do ants mean?
Exactly.
And why do they keep appearing in my life? And when I started to acknowledge their message, they went away.
Yes, that's exactly it. It happens that way every time. I want to go back to two things that you've said. First of all, you said, and I still do have these at times, because I think a lot of people think that we reach this place where all of a sudden we just know who we are and we're never going to have another doubt or obstacle that's going to show up because we have just done all of our work, and then they are shocked to discover, oh my gosh, I'm afraid again, or oh my goodness, I can't think that I might not be able to do this. So I think it's enlightening for people to understand that individuals just like you and me that are doing their great things in the world, we still have those fears and doubts and wonders of, can I do this? I mean, I pass through the mirror every second day and I go, what are you doing? And can you do this? So,
are you sure?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's interesting when I first, many years ago when I started to take my life coach, when you take a program like that, you're actually doing your own work within, as opposed to learning how to be of service to other people. And I remember I would constantly come home from the course and go, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I'm too messed up. And I would go into the judgment of me. And as I shared this with some people that are special in my life, they would say, that's why you can do this. Because of your journey, you can help to light the way. And it's not that it's just my way. We all have something within us.
Yes.
But we go into judgment of it instead of curiosity of it.
I like that. You go into judgment of it instead of curiosity. That's a huge... Talk about the distinction there. What happens when we go into judgment and what is opened up when we allow curiosity?
Well, when we're going into the judgment, we're going into the blame game. And we're looking at ourselves and we're comparing ourselves to someone else. So, if I sat here and I compared myself to you, where would that lead me?
Right.
That wouldn't lead me into the person that I'm meant to be here to be today or tomorrow. It wouldn't lead me into my possibilities, which are unique from yours. And that would diminish someone else stepping forward into their light. So it's really stepping back from the comparison. It's back from the judgment as often as you can. And just when you go into judgment, using interesting point of view about that judgment of yourself, and then ask a question. If you can't think of any question, just ask, what question can I ask here? That simple question, when you feel like, at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's nobody listening, there's always someone listening.
Yes.
Even if it's just you. And if you ask that question, honestly, it's like the light starts to shine.
The doors start to open.
The doors start to open, and you
Yes.
go, okay, what else can I ask here? And just being like a child, just being a little curious. A child doesn't judge that the sand pile falls over. The child goes, okay, what else can I do? They just keep asking questions and looking for the possibilities. And somewhere along the line, we stopped being curious. And that's where we start to kind of close in the walls, and we start comparing and we start judging ourselves. And we really, when we're doing that, that generative energy of possibilities just gets locked off.
And that's how we shut down, and that's how we
shut
become
down.
depressed in The Walking Dead, because our creative center is really that place of our aliveness. When we tap into that heart and gut,
Yes.
that's where we really become alive, because we fall into those dreams. That second point you actually brought back up just now, and it is we have to go through certain experiences to be able to understand where others are and have the compassion for them, and then also to be able to speak to them or coach to them or whatever it is that we're willing to do, because we've been there.
Right. And one of the things that I find interesting that I used to do a lot is I would feel sorry for them. And I remember when you and I did our radio interview a few months ago, there was something that you said and you really struck me and you really pulled me back, and it was like something about the emotions and it being very difficult. And you said, no, it's a great experience. And I remember kind of looking at the phone going, what is she talking about? And
I love a good cry.
yeah, there's nothing like a good cry. But I stepped back from that interview that we did, and I really started to ask questions about it. And to go, okay, getting down in the rabbit hole with someone who is in sadness or anger or resentment or pity does not help them up out of it. Being curious about it and asking questions and asking them questions actually has them, inviting them into asking questions themselves and not believing the lie that they're pathetic. That
Exactly.
we can get out of this. And it really starts with just a choice of saying, I'm not going to be this way anymore. I'm going to choose different for my life. And even if you're having to say that every day for a year, it does shift.
Well, and what you're saying also is the questions are very important. When we think we found the answer, all of a sudden we do shut off any other possibility of answer, or we frame ourselves in a box. So it's almost as if the questions are the answer that we're looking for, because it keeps us moving and changing.
Right, exactly. And when we think we've gotten something right, we actually lock doors to more possibilities. So what if we were just to say, hey, this is what I'm choosing right now and it's fun, and then we go to the next thing and the next thing, and the universe sends us on a very interesting ride. I just moved here to Burlington a year ago, and there's been some changes over the last week, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And I'm going to be like you, and this is the first time anybody's going to hear about this.
Yay! We're going to have a Rebel Road announcement.
So Inspired Choices is the name of my company, and I'm actually going to be taking it on the road. So where I'm living is actually being torn down. And, instead of going into, oh, poor me, I went, okay, so what else is possible here? And I'm moving to Toronto, but I'm going to be working out of different cities. So I'm going to be one day here, one day there, and it's like all of a sudden, what I've been asking for presented in a completely different way than I actually had imagined.
Of course, and that's usually what occurs. We're going to get what we've asked for. It just may not look like initially the way that we wanted it to look.
Yes.
And so, but yet it does show up, and it presents us even more opportunities.
Absolutely, if we will be open to it.
If we will be open to it.
Yes.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. So will you be open to the possibilities, to the questions, and to the opportunities that are showing up in your life? Will you take the different obstacles and challenges that are showing up and decide that those are going to define you, or that those are going to be the diving board that you leap from and move into something else? From the Possibilities Coach, Christine McIver, you've heard that we all have that infinite possibility. So step out into yours and discover your own Rebel Road and where it's going to take you. In love, of love, with love, and as love, I'm Simran Singh with Christine McIver. Be well.